Owens set the record straight. But everyone is trying to treat this like breaking news. But my good friend Indy from INN shared with me an article that himself and Reef Breland worked on February 4th of 2025. RFK Jr.'s field of red flags, plenty of reasons to dismiss his nomination. So first, I want to pull up this video right here of Ian Carroll trying to treat this like it's breaking news when it's not. So let's go ahead and pull this up here because there's a lot of questions about RFK Jr.
In many directions, all across the internet, and American politics is not going to be the same after this weekend. That's not hyperbole. This is not just a hook, and I don't really know where to start. But this is the kind of story that I've gotten enough calls from enough people tonight and enough people. There's enough going on that I feel like we need to make a video right now to keep some people safe and to get as much as we all know out on the internet right now so that everyone can be safe. And the best place for everyone to start is at Candace's video that she put up today, that she very aptly titled "One Nation Under Blackmail."
Now, this is a whole 9-minute video, and I'll be fast forwarding it to the end. But here is where Candace Owens starts talking about a little bit more about this because this is the true direct source.
Okay, going to try to stay calm because I'm obviously a lot more fired up today. Something about that message just really set me off. Like, it needs to be a clean shot. And I don't think Olivia Nuzzi had that shot. So I am going to tell you what I do know about her. And again, things that I just know about RFK and stuff that I didn't wade into because I tend to mind my business if it doesn't impact me. And now this is clearly impacting me. And it looks like the Trump movement, the MAGA movement, has been infiltrated. And we need to start asking questions about the MAHA movement because Jessica is not a conservative. She's definitely not a conservative if she is collaborating with someone who is explicitly anti-Trump and hates Trump and is involved in something that seems very odd to me. Then we need to start asking broader questions. So we're going to do that today.
So let's pull up this video here as well, in which she goes into more detail about, well, what she had to deal with last year.
It's just a weird set of attacks because I'm going, what does Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, and Ian Carroll have in common? Especially to then say something as petty as I'm copying her and trying to rebrand. That in and of itself to me registered as a conspiracy because something you should know about neocons, the forever war, send American sons and daughters to die perpetually overseas in lands and territories that they don't recognize, is that one thing that they have in common is that you must worship Israel, the foreign state. And here you have 3 independent voices who are being smeared and libel, who don't do that, and who truly are not being controlled by anybody else, despite the implications of these pieces. And when she was revealed of who was overseeing this piece and who was going to personally edit it, we found out that this person was Olivia Nuzzi. Clean shot, Olivia Nuzzi said. It needs to be a clean shot. They are speaking like they are an assassination hit squad. Who is this human being? Who is Olivia Nuzzi? Why is she calling shots, clean shots, on people like Candace Owens and directing and being some ghost hand behind the scenes? And it's not, once you understand who Olivia Nuzzi is, shocking that she would go after Tucker Carlson. What's rather shocking is that Jessica Reed Krause is bragging about how close she is to Donald Trump while having a person who is taking shots at real conservatives in this country. So I'm going to tell you about Olivia Nuzzi. She was a correspondent for New York Magazine. Yes, the one that we just uncovered, that whole weird pedophile senior writer sympathizer. She was a correspondent for New York Magazine from 2017 to 2024. So she had quite a long tenure there. And so, yeah, she had quite a long tenure at New York Magazine until in September of 2024, New York Magazine had to place her on leave after it was disclosed that she was having an affair with RFK Jr. Now, they both maintained at the time that this was clearly a sexting affair. But the other element of this is super interesting. Olivia, currently living in Malibu, which means now she doesn't live in a city, which means now she's got to drive a car, is driving a car. She's driving a foreign car in Malibu, and her license plates, and I'm not giving you the end of the license plates, but her real true license plates are, and I can show you here, RFK 66 blank blank.
Ha! It seems rather odd, right, that we're now talking about this because first I want to give a huge shout out to good friend of the show, Indy from INN, who's been nothing but a source of great information and one of the dauntless few. So first of all, this has already been out here. So Indy did a retweet quote. Not only did we notice stuff about Elizzy and Nuzzy stuff last fall, we also knew he had a lot of skeletons. We talked about this in our article documenting a bunch of red flags with RFK Jr. These screen caps were from this article, RFK Jr.'s Field of Red Flags. Here, number 15, personal fidelity issues. RFK Jr. told his second wife it was her fault he cheated on her 37 times in a new recordings report. Hey, listen, gentlemen, I'm not the world's greatest dating expert, but I can promise you this. You tell that to your wife or your partner, ladies, you tell that to your husband or partner. That's not going to go over well unless they're a simp. Okay, there you go. I'm just throwing it out there. It's your fault that I cheated. 43 suspected mistresses found in RFK Jr.'s phone. Oh my God. Hold on. Wait. Did Cheryl Hines drive Mary Kennedy to self-deletion? Cheryl Hines put aside marriage woes to pay respect to Ethel Kennedy as RFK Jr. spotted for the first time since his mother's demise. And of course, you got so much other stuff. RFK Jr. was addicted to substances. And of course, here is the full article from Indie News. Indie News has been a source of great information. So first of all, again, there's a lot to talk about RFK Jr. and his field of red flags. None of this is new. It's been out there. It's been out there from the beginning. First of all, running as a Democrat, which I felt was a dumb move for anyone running in the 2024 election cycle. Running as an independent. And while I am all for independence, I have to say the entire 2024 election cycle left much to be desired from independents. And while they did a good run by getting a lot of media attention, I have to say it was mediocre and still lackluster, as there was an opportunity for them to do so much more, but yet they did little. Flirting with running party affiliates. Some Republicans flirted with the idea of inviting him to join the party, but he was still a liberal Democrat his whole life, and a Kennedy that was never going to happen. Libertarians even invited him to speak at their conference last summer, and he was even included in one early round of presidential nominees for the Libertarian Party, but they went with Chase Oliver. Pull a gimmick, naming a VP willing to fund a campaign, and he managed to find somebody who had that cash money. Act 5, Kennedy bows out early and makes a deal and endorses Trump. Now, after the Chicago convention, Kamala Harris made the dumbest mistake ever by taking her foot off the gas, and in turn, Trump was able to capitalize it. And by later on, during that month in August, both RFK Jr. and Tulsi Gabbard would endorse the Trump campaign. Act 6, Trump wins, like we all knew he would months before. And well, we here at Heartlands Media were pretty much in the camp of, pretty much Trump can win this unless the Democrats do something really, really stupid. Just how many red flags do you need? Below is a list of 15 plus examples of RFK Jr.'s red flags. First of all, and again, I'm going to be posting this full article once I clip this video, because we're going to go right back to Candace Owens very soon, real quick. Selling the VP slot to buy corporatist Nicole Shanahan for $12.5 million cash money. I mean, after all, in American elections, you do need the money, my lovelies. You do need the money. 2, immigration in the southern border. This is a tweet from Michael Revas. Saw RFK Jr.'s town hall. He supports sealing the U.S. southern border and fixing parts of the border wall. He didn't even mention how U.S. foreign policy in Mexico, Central, and South America creates refugees seeking asylum in the U.S. Hard pass. Of course. Number 3, he said he wouldn't join the Trump ticket. Technically, no, but is joining the Trump administration as, again, the HHS secretary. Much different? No, he's part of it. 2, Jeffrey E. Flights lied to Whitney Webb and said there was one questionable friendship with notorious alleged murderers, O.J. Simpson, and of course, you know him, you love him, Bill Cosby. Remember, RFK Jr. did say that he went on a fossil expedition. Look, I like to study dinosaurs too, but I mean, come on. Leave all the extinct animals out of any association with Jeffrey E. 5, called Mike Pompeo brilliant and a man of the people. Nothing says red flag than by calling Mike Pompeo as CIA director, the man who plotted publisher Julian Assange, WikiLeaks founder, to be kidnapped and possibly murdered on a London street. Instead, he had Assange arrested and jailed in Belmarsh prison for 5+ years. But apparently, Pompeo, he's a great guy. He's a great guy, folks. The CIA. Don't worry, everything's fine. Don't panic. He's been obviously Kennedy, number 6, lifelong Democrat. All right, shout out to Reef Breland right here. How do people not understand the first issue with RFK Jr. is he is a Democrat. I do not care what policies he may be better than Cornell on, who I also don't support, but the fact he isn't that he isn't a Democrat puts him over RFK Jr. any day. If you think voting will save us, that is. All right, so again, shout out to Reef Breland right there. Shout out to Reef of INN. 7, hired ex-CIA daughter-in-law to manage his campaign after Dennis Kucinich left. Remember that? You know, maybe my brain isn't working as well, but audience, you know, isn't the CIA kind of involved in a lot of sketchy things, especially, you know, with the removal of a lot of key influential people from the 1960s? You know, unless I'm truly losing it, folks, and this is it. I don't know. Give me your thoughts in the comment section below. Okay, RFK Jr. hires former CIA agent to head up his third-party run. What could go wrong? Called CIA agents good, patriotic people. Pushed Russiagate. Putin is a thug and a bully. Hold on, let's go and pull this up here, because this is pure gold.
Maybe to Putin over many years, you know, we made a commitment to Russia, to Gorbachev, that we would not move NATO 1 inch to the east. So, you know, why did we, then we went in and we lied. We went into 13 NATO countries. We put missile systems in that with nuclear capacity. We did joint exercises with the Ukraine and these others from NATO. You know, what is the purpose of NATO other than to oppose Russia?
And speaking of opposing Russia, did you know this? Number 10, son fighting for Ukraine, only found out because he got a credit card bill. Oh, God. This story will be linked in the clip video, by the way, okay? Watch Megyn Kelly interview me about the complex reasons that promoted my son Connor to fight in the Ukraine war. What could go wrong? Weird animal stuff. This is going to get weird. Falconry was Donald Jr. and sailing contest fundraisers during the campaign. Who is he trying to appeal to? The bear story and dumping the dead bear in Central Park. If the whereabouts of Paddington Bear are still unknown, Paddington Bear, please come home to us. Here we go. The presidential candidate said he planned to take the roadkill home and skin it, but got waylaid by a long way of falconry and steak dinner. The mystery of the bear cub made national news in 2014. The Whalehead story. While speaking to Town and Country, Kick discussed her memories, not Kick the video platform. Kick discussed her memories from the family's Hyatsport, Massachusetts home, telling the publication about a time when her father heard that a dead whale had washed up on the shores of Squaw Island. Bobby, who had a passion for studying animal skulls and bones, rushed over to the beach with a chainsaw. I can picture it in my head. And Kick said that when he arrived, he cut the whale's head off and used a bungee cord to tie it to the top of their minivan. He then drove the family 5 hours to Mount Casco, New York, with the whale fastened on the roof. Oh, God. Oh, God. Seraph says, "No, Dad, what are you doing? I know what I'm doing, daughter. What could go wrong, people? What could go wrong? Say it with me. What could go wrong?" Continuing on, all of which made a lasting impression on Kick, who was 6 at the time. Of course, that's going to be a long-term memory. Of course, it's going to be a long-term memory. You're 6 years old. Bobby Kennedy Jr. of the great Kennedy family, chainsaw in hand, goes to the beach, Somebody should animate this. Yanks a chainsaw. Chainsaws a dead whale's head right off its body. Ties its head to the roof of the minivan. And everyone's in there. Bloody chainsaw too. He's probably covered in blood too. Yeah, that's going to stay with you for a long time. Hey, let's have democracy in the chat. If you were 6 years old, or imagine yourself at 6, right? And you're just minding your own business and you see a loved one close to you, maybe an uncle, a father, a grandfather, mother, aunt, you name it. And they take you to the beach. You're in a minivan. They have a chainsaw in hand. They see a dead whale. They chop it off, right? Put its head right on top of the minivan. Is that going to stay with you? Type 1 for no, kid. That's just family bonding. Type 2, no, man. That would haunt me and disturb me. I wonder how many 1s and 2s will be in the chat. I wonder, do you ever wonder? Continue on, all of which made a lasting impression on Kick, who was 6 at the time. Every time we accelerated on the highway, whale juice would pour into the windows of the car, and it was the rankest thing on the planet. She recalled in an interview, we all had plastic bags over our heads with mouth holes cut out, and the people on the highway were giving us the finger. But that was just a normal day-to-day stuff for us. Oh, my God, so it was just a Tuesday. Oh! Oh. And hold on. Can you believe it? I do that every weekend, lols. Well, gee, aren't you a special one? Okay. Wendy Carballo being the only voice of reason. Very traumatic. Wendy Carballo, you are our compass, our moral compass in this crazy chat that we call Hardlands Media. The Kennedy family, legacy, entire reputation due to his last name, desperate for decades as to be the member of the club. And this was his interview with Oprah, the same Oprah who was asking poor folk to give money to her charity, even though she's a billionaire. You know, never forget what happened to Lahaina. Why haven't you run for office? Bobby, I've got 6 reasons running around this house, but at this point, I would run if there were an office open because I'm so distressed about the kind of country my children will inherit. I've tried to cling to the idea that I could be of public service without compromising my family life, but at this point, I would run. Run for what? Bobby would say, I would run for Senate or for the governor's office in New York, but my friends are in those offices and I'm not going to run against them. Of course, we talked about the fidelity issues. Nothing says, I love you, honey, than blaming her for why you cheated on her 37 times. Because that's just what's going to work out. And, of course, his connection with Rabbi Shmuley. Shout out to INN. This was one thing which INN did well with, especially last year when they were with Jewish Voices for Peace. This was, again, a video done by INN.
Hi, first of all, I would like to thank you for your
I apologize. Let me unmute the site. There we go.
On mandates. As a Jewish woman who cares for justice, I do have a question. It's been about a year since U.S. citizen and journalist Shireen Abu Ablakah was shot by the IDF. It is known through both video and forensic science that it was definitely the IDF and that they targeted her. Are you willing to commit to calling for Israel to extradite the soldier to the U.S. with body cam for a public U.S. trial? She is a U.S. citizen and justice should be served. Also, no, wait. Let me finish. Don't speak over me, sir.
Let's just do one question at a time.
Sir, please let me finish. Also, please,
if you make it quick,
can you also commit to having a conversation one-on-one with Jewish Voice for Peace?
Okay. Wait. Let's be civil about this. What's your name, please?
My name is.
What is it? Thank you for coming tonight. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Now,
Israel is
Now, to be clear here, this all took place last year, but I'm going to be playing the rest of the Candace Owens video clip in its full entirety very soon.
open democracy with a free press.
I didn't ask you, by the way. I asked. No.
Let Bobby will answer in a second.
I
am going to correct this information. The IDF has now admitted that this renowned Palestinian journalist probably did die from an Israeli bullet during a shootout against terrorists. She was there covering it. When you said that she was deliberately targeted is an absolute lie.
She was definitely targeted. She had a helmet on.
Wait.
She had a helmet on and she had armor
She
on.
has covered.
There is no way.
She covered dozens
There
of
is
military.
no way.
Wait.
He took a direct shot.
No. She covered dozens of
He should let me
military.
talk.
She covered dozens of military raids. Why did they wait to?
It took a direct shot.
Say what?
It took a direct shot to get her between the helmet and the armor.
What is your source for this?
What my source? My source is forensics and the video.
You have no source.
And the video.
So Israel.
Real quick here, this is an RFK Jr. event. Do you notice who's speaking and who's not speaking? Pay close attention. You know, I should have brought that up in the first when I first played the video. And actually, we did talk about this last year. But somebody who's on that stage is awfully very quiet, while another person who, again, the question was directed at RFK Jr., they're speaking for him.
Conducted a lengthy investigation about this, which is what they do always. And amazingly, they admitted it probably was an Israeli bullet. And unfortunately,
Mr. Kennedy,
journalists who die.
Mr. Kennedy,
it is tragic.
Don't you think that, Mr. Kennedy, do you not think that this? I am Jewish. Do not tell me that, Mr. Kennedy. Please, don't you believe that the U.S. should be able to adjudicate this? She was a U.S. citizen. She was also a journalist. And again, do you also commit to sitting down with the Jewish Voice for Peace and having a conversation with them, or do those Jewish voices not count? Yes, they do. Thank you.
Okay, enough. Let him respond. We're going to move on. Go ahead.
I don't know enough about the case to make a judgment about, extradition, and I don't know if we even have an extradition treaty for that particular crime. Or what the basis of it would be in Israel or Palestine or wherever the killing
This is what you call dodging, bobbing, and weaving a question.
took place. I just couldn't answer your question.
Since Israel is allies, they should be allies. Do you agree? All right. Thank you. You're on record. Thank you.
Go ahead, please.
Shout out again to INN. Shout out to all their good work. They're doing a lot of great stuff. Shout out to INN. So a little bit more. The brainworm. Yes, the brainworm. Oh, God. Oh, hey, Reef, listen. You got a lot of talent, buddy. You got a lot of talent, but I don't like this. This is gonna haunt me for some time. He's still limited in the role of HH secretary. So there you go. Again, that's another thing. Okay. So fluoride and vaccines, for example, are state issues, says global health law expert Lawrence Gostin of Georgetown University. Also, the mental gymnastics of RFK Jr. supporters. So again, there's a lot of things about RFK Jr. that need to be called out, but these are all the red flags. This is the article, like all this stuff that everyone's dropping about, like, oh my goodness, is RFK Jr. being blackmailed? That's a big question. But with everything that's in the news, I'm pretty sure, like everybody else, they got a handler and a cleanup guy, like a Mr. Clean, a bald Mr. Cleanup guy to handle all the issues. And as it stands right now, he's got himself a nice cushy job within the Trump administration. But all this stuff being earth-shattering new. No, it's not. It isn't.
That is some coincidence. I gotta tell you. Okay. Like, I gotta tell you, it's a weird thing. Like, it's not every day that your license plates reflect the sexting scandal that you just had. Okay. It's not every day. Who purchased this foreign car? Who got this car to Malibu? Okay. It's a British car. And your license plates are RFK and some numbers. So we discussed yesterday how we all kind of know who killed JFK, but we keep doing this weird song and dance in America, like no, it's awkward. We don't want to like say, well, like things are adding up. And we've always known that we weren't really waiting for the release of these files to vindicate us. It's very clear. Why else would you lock something down for this long? It's very clear who was involved. And the weirdest song and dance and all that we're all doing at the moment is pretending that RFK Jr.'s unflinching loyalty and, quite frankly, his fear of saying anything negative about Israel is not bizarre. Okay. I'm going to pull up Dave Smith here. Dave Smith has been just an incredible powerhouse. He was majorly supportive of RFK Jr. as a candidate, saying essentially, because he's moderate, like, I like him because he doesn't like war. Like, he is a libertarian and he has been a leader in the libertarian movement for quite some time, Dave Smith. And he got behind RFK until he didn't. He felt like it was very weird that RFK had just this blind spot for Israel. It was weird to him. And he calls him out. He called him out right to his face. Skylar, let's pull that up. Dave Smith just calling out RFK Jr. for this like remarkable hypocrisy while pretending to be anti-war, but also simultaneously like unwilling to say anything about the state of Israel.
It is the worst humanitarian catastrophe in the world right now. And the idea that you, who are supposed to be the anti-neocon, anti-war presidential candidate, are immediately on October 7th, before we even had an investigation, before we even knew what happened there, you immediately say, what basically you said everything they say about Ukraine. You said it was an unprovoked attack. Which, like, come on, give me a break. An attack from Gaza against Israel is unprovoked. And then you said, we have to support them in whatever it takes. Well, look, sir, we're watching it right now. This is whatever it takes. Just women and children dying under rubble. Every day you can't go on social media without seeing another video of some baby dying. This is what we're supposed, after the last 20 years of disastrous wars, we got to support the next one. And sir, this is like a biblical level of evil. And why? Why should we as Americans have to fund this? Why should we have to give them a blank check? I'm sorry, it's been long enough.
And RFK didn't have an acceptable answer, and that was something that was one of the reasons why he was just not going to be vocal in his support. Dave Smith was not going to be vocal in his support of RFK Jr., but he said the biggest thing was just the fact that he was hanging around Rabbi Shmuley. I mean, like, it's just like a thing that everybody just agrees on. He is just a filthy, disgusting human man, and he made him a part of his campaign. This is a person who openly blackmails people. He's being sued, right?
Now, I also want to put this out here too. Again, all this is news and warning signs we were given, given a huge heads up on. I already went through this article with INN. There's a whole treasure trove of stuff here. And yes, if you're watching this live right now, I pinned this article for all of you to see it. Like, this was already out there. This was already out there. This was already exposed. This is stuff that people already should have known. This isn't anything new. But I think, and I'm noticing a lot of people covering this, but I want to give a shout out to Indy from INN. Like, this article was from February of 2025.
Right now, from a wealthy Jewish family down in Miami for trying to extort them. He deals in extortion and blackmail in broad daylight and tried to extort the owners of Fontainebleau by calling them Nazi sympathizers, everything that he did to me and everyone. He was just like a smear merchant. And RFK Jr. is just buddy with him. How weird. And when I got into my most viral debate last year with him, and I just let Rabbi Shmuley be Rabbi Shmuley. I kind of just sat back and watched him be a demon. RFK Jr. randomly tweeted right after this debate, which everyone was just like, yeah, he got what he deserved. He's disgusting. Like,
John Michael, absolutely correct. All right. First of all, John Michael tipped $2. And this is something that has to be taken into consideration. Blackmail only works on info that is not public. John Michael, I think you've won the live stream chat, and very, very good thing there. And also gonna pause here real quick. All Red, thank you so much for your generosity. I'm gonna read your full super chat once this segment is done. But thank you. I got a whole bunch of segments that are super chats that I will be reading in a little bit. So thank you to everybody. Your generosity is noticed.
Nobody was defending Rabbi Shmuley. Nobody. RFK Jr. comes to his defense and spoke about the troubling rise of anti-Semitism. You got to watch this debate, because he did not, in RFK Jr.'s tweet, it was almost like someone just took his phone and said, this is what you got to do. You know, I control you, man. So he goes on to this and talks about anti-Semitism. But here's where it gets interesting, because this is before he got into office. Now RFK is in office, and I'm thinking, okay, he had to defend his Rabbi Shmuley buddy who just got destroyed in a debate, but he's kind of made anti-Semitism his focus. This is a tweet from him that he recently sent out. Anti-Semitism, like racism, is a spiritual and moral malady that sickens societies and kills people with lethalities comparable to history's most deadly plagues. In recent years, the censorship and false narratives of woke cancel culture have transformed our great universities into greenhouses for this deadly and virulent pestilence. Making America healthy means building communities of trust and mutual respect based on speech freedom and open debate. And then he included a link to the hhs.gov. So that's weird. And then he's decided that anti-Semitism is a health crisis. This is not what we put you. This is just not what we put you in office for. I don't care who needs to debate any of this, other than this is not what people put you in office for. We wanted you to go after vaccines. We wanted you to go after the CDC. We did not want you to establish anti-Semitism as a health crisis. And The Atlantic was right when they wrote this headline: make public health officials stay in their lane again. Fighting anti-Semitism isn't RFK Jr.'s job. Yes, that is correct. What are we even speaking about here? Why is RFK Jr. feel like he's just being moved by Rabbi Shmuley in the background and not focused on what we put him in office for? Why is RFK Jr. not the first person that's all over the JFK files? If he's going to do some outside work outside of focusing on health, and he's really worried.
I'm gonna pause here. Yeah, I mean the JFK files. I mean that's like the big thing. I found his silence, RFK Jr.'s, lack of speaking or even reflecting on him, to be very questionable, because the assassination, as we've talked about, of JFK forever scarred this nation. As I've said before, I always have to wonder what kind of world we would be living in if he survived. And in turn, Donald Trump has also promised to release the MLK files, and in turn, RFK Jr.'s father's files, RFK Sr. I want to point out that while the interview can be found on different other platforms, Mike Tyson's interview with RFK Jr. about the assassination of RFK Sr. was removed off the YouTube platform. And we did talk about it. I just find that very questionable. Now, it's available on other platforms, to be clear. Why would it be Thanos? Why? A bird goes tweet and an owl goes who? Might have pushed for that.
And wants to dedicate his time. I would think maybe looking into the JFK files and giving us some sort of a conclusion of what he thinks could be interesting, but that's not what he's doing. And so what's interesting is I have begun to wonder who's got something on RFK Jr. And indeed, as I said, because Olivia Nuzzy's got a big mouth when she's not busy hunting big buck.
Oh! Hey! Keep it family friendly. Keep that We're going to rewind that again.
Who's got something on RFK Jr. And indeed, as I said, because Olivia Nuzzy's got a big mouth when she's not busy hunting big buck.
If there was ever an oof.
Oof. Oof. Oof. Oof. There is some interesting stories that are circulating in the background, and it does, again, at least according to what is circulating all throughout the PR world, thanks to Olivia Nuzzy, and she wants to make sure she protects RFK. She's made that clear. She wants to protect RFK. She doesn't want this stuff made public. Is that there's some sexual blackmail in the background that's going on, some sexual interest in the background that's going on. And let me tell you, if Olivia Nuzzy knows it, we could guess that some other people know it. I'm willing to guess a guy like Rabbi Shmuley would make sure that he knows it. And so I'm just finding this whole thing and the stuff that I've heard about RFK Jr. and the stuff that I know Olivia Nuzzy has on him to be interesting in the context of the fact that she's operating hit pieces against conservatives. She hates Donald Trump, and yet she's chummy with someone who is within striking distance from Donald Trump. I find all this to be very interesting. It should be publicized that there's weird sexual blackmail.
Weird stuff. Weird stuff indeed. Now, there's a full a segment on its full entirety, but I just want everyone to see this again. This is from Indy from INN News. All of this stuff is out there already. I mean, it was already exposed by Indy and Reef, who compiled and put together all the bright, shiny red flags about RFK Jr. What can we take away from this? Well, it's quite simple. I mean, politics, Washington, D.C., just like Hollywood, is a cesspool. All these people know each other and their dirty little secrets. I mean, look, just to trigger the libs, and yes, even some diehard Trump supporters, Trump and Bill Clinton were good friends, buddies, pals with Jeffrey E. They knew him. Hell, a lot of people in positions of power knew him. And here's something that's going to keep you up at night. If they were oh so honorable, oh so great, oh so knowledgeable, oh so bold and brave, don't you think they would have stopped them? Don't you think they would have spoke out if they kind of knew something about this? Don't you think if they were good people, they would have roared like lions and said, this has to stop and we will do the right thing? No, they didn't. See, that's Hollywood right there. The real reality is sometimes the greatest evil can hide in the light. Sometimes the person you like to cheerlead, who you think is a leader, may not be that so honorable themselves. It's always important to be a critical thinker, a free thinker. It's always important to observe all the patterns that are before us. This isn't anything new. Now, Candace Owens did bring out a lot to this. Now, of course, Ian Carroll did his video, and everyone's one like, oh, gee, what's this? What's this? Well, it's already been known. But I want to pull up this super chat here because you know something? It hits the nail on the head. And Candace Owens really seems to have triggered a lot of people who don't like to be criticized, because I got to give it up, because John Michael, Candace Owens also brought this up here. Blackmail only works on info that is not public. And so long as you're a good little puppy, you know, nothing bad will happen. Just follow the orders and everything will be okay.